Hey, it's Doris with All the Books, and I'm here with part 2 of my February wrap-up, and all of these are for Black History Month. The first half of the month was great, and most of those were Black History Month. This second half, there are some great things in here, but I felt like my reading was up and down. Some of the books were better than others, and some of the books were kind of up and down as I read them. So let's just jump right in and get this going. The first one I want to talk about, because it's an audiobook and I want to get it done before I forget, is I Can't Make This Up, Life Lessons from Kevin Hart. So this book it's an Audible exclusive, so you can only listen to it on Audible. I assume there's a hard copy as well, but I think that this one would not be nearly as good reading it as it was listening, because he just embellishes it so much, and he's a comedian, so you know, he's pretty funny. And he did a great job reading it, a great job, and ad-libbing and everything. But I really liked it. I mean, it is wide open, crass, and profane. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you know, when I naively said that Jenny Lawson was a little crass and profane, this is a whole other level. And I think the 20-something me would have just thought it cringeworthy, but I can handle it more now. It was a fabulous read. He talks about his early years growing up in a single-parent household with his mom and her discipline, and how she kept him off the streets, and how he came into his profession, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I especially appreciated his transparency. He has flaws, and he knows he has flaws, and he shares those flaws. I just really appreciated him for that. And as I said, it's life lessons, and he just has these little moments of insight that are just so spot on. So if you can handle extremely crass and profane, I would suggest it. It was very enjoyable. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And then with the books I read, Dreamland Burning by Jennifer Latham. This is a YA that came out last year, and it is based on the Tulsa race riots. And this book was up and down for me. It was interesting. I actually almost DNF'd it at the beginning. I rarely DNF books, and one reason I DNF them is if they are people that I don't like, self-absorbed characters. I just can't deal with that. This one was the other reason that I sometimes DNF books, and that was because of the writing. So a pet peeve of mine is when, because I would say so many of the books I read deal with social issues in some respect. So a lot of times authors, especially YA, because diversity is a hot topic in YA, as it should be, but a lot of authors will, you can tell they've made an outline and a laundry list of social issues and diversity that they want to include in their novels. And I apologize in advance to any men that are watching, but it's panty lines. You know, if I can read your book and see your foundation, it's not good. So that threw me off at the beginning, but I decided to stick with it because, like I said, I rarely DNF books, and it really turned around. Like, this book was set in two timelines. Current timeline was in Tulsa with a young girl, an African-American girl from wealthier parents, professionals, and what's she gonna do with her summer hours. And then the historical timeline was that they discover a body in their carriage house. The house is an older house from back during, before the Civil Rights Movement. Let me show you the pretty book. before the civil rights movement, during the 20s, I believe. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. But she discovers this skeleton, and they begin researching it, and then it's things that happened to her in her life, tragedy, and discovering the skeleton and what happened back then. And it was really interesting historical exposition on the Tulsa race riots that I had never heard of. And I just thought it was a really nice perspective in a YA novel. So I forgave the little glimpses into a rocky outline because it told a great story. And in the end, I was very involved and excited to see where it went. The next one is literary perfection. The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. This is my very first Toni Morrison. This is her debut, and it's a great place to start if you're into literary fiction. Oh my gosh, this book was stunning to read to me. Just the thematic layers and her writing is so gorgeous. This is a story of a little girl and tragedy at home, the way she's treated. At one point she is in foster care with another family with 2 little girls, and so some of the story is from her perspective, some of it is from the little girl's perspective, and it's just so ethereal. Just look up a few reviews. I'm not doing it justice, but if you are into literary fiction, you got to read some Toni Morrison. I will definitely be reading all of her books in chronological order and looking forward to it. The next one I read, My Name is Leon by Kit DeWall. This is set in the UK, I believe in the 70s. I don't remember quite as well, but the mother is white and the little boy is mixed. And she has the second child, a baby, with a different father that is white, a white child. And then the mother develops, I would say, they never really label it, but she develops kind of postpartum depression that she can't get over. And the children end up in foster care. And then the white baby gets adopted because he's white, and the black boy, his older brother, who is around the 12-year-old range, stays in foster care because he's black. And this is written by a social worker. So it's from a social worker's perspective that she's written it. It's fast-paced and interesting and beautifully told. I was very much absorbed in this story the whole time that I was reading it. And I enjoyed the perspective that she wrote from. I thought was a good one. 2 things that I didn't like so much about it. I felt like it was kind of fast-paced at the end, and I didn't really know everything that was going on. And part of that is because I'm not as familiar with UK history. And actually, it's not the 70s. It's when Charles and Lady Di were getting married. So I guess that's sometime in the 80s, because like I said, I don't know UK history that well, but I know it was when I was younger. That's part of the storyline, which I really enjoyed reading it because that was a big deal worldwide. Really cute. Yeah, but I didn't like that fast-paced nature, and I felt like she didn't explain it quite that well. There was a lot going on, and I couldn't quite keep up. And then the ending, not everything got resolved. And so as a reader, I would have liked to have had more resolution in a nice way. But knowing that she was writing it from a social worker's perspective, and this was reality. This story is really, this is how it goes down, you know. It's not all tied up in a nice happy ending. So this is a great book, and I am very much looking forward to her next one, because I just found out last night that her new book, I forget the name of it, but it's been longlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction. So I'm going to be reading another Kit DeWall very soon. Then I read Sing, Unburied, Sing by Jessamine Ward. This is a booktube darling, a literary darling, and well deserved. It is so well written. I didn't like it, but that's because I didn't like it. It's not that it's not a good book. It is really good. I actually, and as I said, I don't like self-absorbed characters, and the parents, both the mother and the father, are just, I didn't like them at all. I so didn't like them. So the mother is, she's involved in drugs. The dad is in jail. The mother is African American, the dad's white, and they're not good parents. They're very self-absorbed, and it's not just the drugs. I mean, you can blame it on the drugs, but they're making choices, and outside of the drug realm, they're making choices to be self-absorbed and think, yeah, self first. I just hated them. Outside of that, the magical realism I really got along with at the beginning and the end. There's two ghosts. I enjoyed both ghosts' perspective, and I enjoyed the way they came together at the end. I thought that really redeemed the story for me, because yeah, this is another story where the ending doesn't get tied up in a nice bow. It's left grounded in reality, which, you know, isn't really pleasant to read. But the other thing I look for in a book is, what does it make me think? Not just how it makes me feel. It didn't make me feel good, but it's made me think a lot, and I just keep coming back to it and pondering it. So that's a good thing. So I'm saying mixed things about this book. I think it's very much deserving of the prizes that it's won, and I can understand why people love it. But I'm just telling you that you may or may not love it. I didn't enjoy it. So there you go. And then The Mothers. This was another up and down book. This book is full of character development. I found it fascinating to watch these characters develop and get to know each other. I really liked, this is based in a black church out in, I believe, California, modern times, and there's a women's prayer group that acts kind of like a Greek chorus throughout the story, and I really enjoyed hearing that part. It just was very, I don't know, literary to me. I liked it a lot. So yeah, I like the characters and watching them develop. There's not really much plot at all. The story deals with unplanned motherhood and abortion and suicide, and that's what it's about. There's not really much of a plot. I mean, things happen, but they're kind of incidental to the character development, and I enjoyed that thoroughly. This really worked for me until the end, and it just came to a screeching stop. And this is another one where the end was reality. So I just got a lot of that in this group of readings. The end was just really realistic and not so much fun. And this one, I just thought there were some extraneous storylines that were not really all that necessary, and that, you know, like I said, they didn't end it. They weren't part of the end. They were just in there, and then they weren't. And then the suicide, I really needed something from that. It was part of the character development to know about that, and you know, but you never found out what happened, and I thought you could have, and that wouldn't have taken away from the reality at all. So anyway, I enjoyed reading this all the way to the end, so, but it just, the ending needed another 50 pages. And then the last one was We Were 8 Years in Power by Ta-Nehisi Coates. this man is intelligent. He is so intelligent. I enjoyed these essays tremendously. I especially enjoyed his introductions to the essays. So the essays are one for each year that Obama was in the office, and the introductions are almost memoir-esque in that Coates is talking about he was unemployed when he began writing for the, is it the Atlantean? I forget how you say that word. A magazine, a famous political magazine. Sorry, I should have. I'm going to Honduras tomorrow, and I'm trying to get all my loose ends tied up, and so I'm just, you know, I'm just doing stuff off the cuff. Sorry, and I didn't even get lunch today. I had to eat lunch in the car on the way to my next job. So yeah, but sometimes life is like that. But this is a great book. So the memoir parts are, you know, him discovering himself and in relation to his writing and his work, and how he develops as a writer through those 8 years. I really enjoyed that part. I really, like, I don't agree with everything he says. I probably agree with 85% of it, 90 even, I don't know, a lot. I don't agree with everything he says, but I don't agree with everything that anybody says, truly. And I really appreciate that he said the same thing. You know, he's talking about authors that he respects and that he researched in his essay writing, and he talks about how much he appreciates them, but he doesn't agree with everything they said. And I wish that, you know, in politics we would see more of that from politicians. You know, I respect my party, but I don't agree with everything about them. We need more of that. I'm on a side trail here. The other thing that I wanted to mention about this is, yes, it is written over the 8 years that Obama was in office, and yes, that is an important concept to analyze. It is so profound, and you get that from here. But this isn't necessarily all about Obama. This is about African American history couched in racism, and how having a black president has affected all of our lives. Preach. This man says everything I've been thinking about that, everything, and I can't say it eloquently, but I appreciated this book so much. I learned so much from it. I learned and I heard things that I've been thinking, and yes, this is intelligent. So intelligent. I can't wait to get his other book and read it, and I hope he has more writings out soon, because I respect. So I apologize that I am so distracted, but you know, get her done. So thanks for watching, and I will be back soon. Bye.